Welcome to the Wedding Songs Podcast, featuring newly released songs you need to know and the tried and true classics. Get song ideas from the time guests arrive until the last dance of the reception. And now your host, Matt Campbell, founder of MyWeddingSongs.com.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wedding Songs Podcast. I am Matt Campbell. Today, we're going to be talking about helping couples select their music. Very important because we want to make sure every soundtrack is perfect and really curtailed to the couple. And to help me along with this today, I have Dave Barszcz from Entertainment Media DJs from Chicagoland, also known as the Chicago area. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm going to start off the way that I start off every podcast, and that is, can you just give details about a unique wedding moment that you had as a DJ?
Absolutely. I'd love to share this with you. What I'd like to preface this question is with a question. What would a DJ do? Well, what would a DJ do if the bride and groom were late for their own wedding? So make a long story short, ceremony was at a church, and I was set up probably about an hour and a half, sound check complete, ready for everybody to come in. All the guests started strolling in, 30 minutes before the introductions, cocktail, it was like a half hour or so. And they started strolling in at about an hour before, but then about a half hour before I noticed that everybody was starting to take their seats, minus the bride and groom. So when we work on weddings with these clients, we build a relationship. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to text the bride. So I sent the bride a text. I said, is everything okay? First and foremost, God forbid something were to happen. So she responded, she said, yes. And she goes, I am so frantic right now. I'm in tears. I don't know what to do. I told her, I said, you guys are okay? About how long before you get here? It was she's had a good half hour. So timing would have been that they would have been a few minutes late past when they were supposed to be introduced. So then basically, long story short, she ended up taking her fiance to a place they first met. It was storming out. It was an accident. And that's kind of what caused them to be late from the ceremony to the reception. I told her, I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I have it covered. There were a bunch of kids running around, as there always is at weddings. So what I did is I first made an announcement, ladies and gentlemen, just want to let you guys know that the bride and groom are safe. They're running a little bit late. They are safe. And people were shaking their head and, acknowledgement, smiles and what have you. So I pulled the kids aside. I said, hey, kids, you want to do a dance party for everybody? Because, I'm trying to think of what we could do to make the situation better. And typically, you don't do a dance party before dinner, but in this situation, I felt it was warranted. So, of course, the kids were ecstatic. So what we did was played some sort of Baby Shark song or something like that, and they started dancing. We got the guests involved. They were clapping. They were standing up and clapping. What I ended up doing was I actually took a video of the moment and I texted it to the bride. She came there. The first thing she did was she busted in tears when she saw me. As she walked, she said, you have no clue, she told me. You have no clue what you just did for me. And I'm sitting there thinking, trying to put myself in their shoes. What would what would I do? What would I want to happen? First and foremost, I would want everybody to know that I'm safe, I'm okay. But also, I would want somebody there to be able to take charge a little bit and do something. So needless to say, they were so grateful. A nice little handwritten card at the end of the night and a nice tip too.
It just proves the point that DJs have to think on their toes and be ready for every moment, because even in this situation, now you'll be prepared for if this were to happen again or any scenario of people being late. You could always throw out this card, or at least to get you thinking, what else can I do? So Dave, if you could please just introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, Dave Barszcz, Entertainment Media, Chicagoland.
And how long have you been DJing?
Over 25 years.
Wow. So you have a lot of experience under your belt. Let's get into today's topic. So both of us know music is typically one of the last things couples decide before the wedding. How have you been able to get the couple's music selections faster than like the 2 days prior to the event?
Well, what I like to do, I started doing this not too long ago, utilizing playlists, and I like to utilize your book, and I go through it with them and have them enter the songs when they come up, not all at once. So I use Event Planner. So I get notified every time they log in and do an update with their music. So I'm kind of getting the music on the fly, I guess you can say. So it helps as far as letting them know that they can do this on a daily basis, and when it comes in mind, to put the song in. And also I have a meeting about a week, probably about 6 days before their wedding, to kind of go over everything. So I stress the importance. Hey, I know there'll be a couple stragglers here and there, but for the gist of it, yeah, I'd like you to have that in by our meeting. So hardly ever is it, last day or day of or what have you, but they're always still going to have requests the day of, but
As always, as long as it's not a major change, like I want you to mix this into that. And I was just thinking about this. You're getting the music. Do you go over specific remixes or specific versions? Are you covering with them as well?
Yeah, I mean, I try to get an idea as we go along with the music, like what they like, and if EDM is at the top of their list, then kind of know what remixes to go ahead and look for. Most often than not, is it pretty much just the radio version that they're requesting, but there are quite a few lately, brides and grooms, that I booked one ago because he knew that I did, mixes on the radio and stuff like that. And he heard some of my mixes and he wanted me to kind of imitate that, I guess you can say. But otherwise, yeah, most often it's going to be the radio version. I think a lot of times, depending on the crowd, sometimes if it's remixed a little too much, I think people get a little confused with what the song is.
Yeah, I
But I do
totally
love
agree with
remixes,
that.
but
There's a time and a place, and I agree with you that you can't ruin the essence of the song. But in the same token, too, maybe you're getting rid of that 30-second intro that everybody's just going to stand around during, too. So you brought up the books. I'm just curious, the pink one and the blue one. The pink one's more for the couples. Do you have a preference which one you're using when you're talking to the couples, or just because it is the wedding music planner is made for walking them through the ceremony reception? Is that your go-to?
Yeah, pretty much. When I go through the planning part of it, I do send them the pink one, and they seem to like the fact that it has all of the other to-do lists and what have you, as well as some of your suggested songs and what have you. But I still myself go through the blue book, and I know we talked offline, but there was an event this weekend. I dug deep into the book and pulled some out, and I'll tell you what, they were impressed. So I still 25 plus years doing this myself, and I'm still learning, and I want to continue to keep learning. I think that's pretty important.
We're definitely on the same wavelength where I like the learning, continuing to learn as well, because we definitely don't know everything and things change sometimes.
Absolutely.
Wedding DJs and wedding pros, are you ready to elevate your expertise and keep the dance floor packed? Introducing the Wedding Music Letter, your weekly email written by me, Matthew Campbell, packed with exclusive insights and inspiration. Every Wednesday, I deliver curated playlists, deep dives into wedding and music industries, and practical tips on topics like science of creating a playlist, managing decibel levels, and crafting unforgettable parent dances. Stay informed, stay inspired. Subscribe to the Wedding Music Letter and bring the best music moments to life at every wedding. Sign up today at weddingmusicletter.com. The Wedding Music Letter, expert insights every Wednesday straight to your inbox at weddingmusicletter.com. Now back to the show. So how do the books compare to other resources? There's so much music out there. Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, Billboard. Is there a reason why you choose the books over those other platforms?
I think it's a little more user friendly, to be honest. And I personally like having the paperback still. The other ones are nice, but I think also when we were doing our planning, I got married back in August or October, I should say. We had a lot of items we had printed out and went through and what have you. We even went through your book as well. But it's nice to have that physical copy in front of us to kind of go along and check off and be able to bring with us.
So when you're planning, let's just say a wedding, when you're planning a playlist for a wedding, do you have your crates set up by moments or do you have them set up by specific moods? How do you organize your crates?
Well, when it comes to the formalities, I guess we can say like I have those listed on a timeline basis. But most everything else I do have in a couple separate files, and only because I don't have like this pre-programmed idea of what my playlist will be, because I have to read the dance floor, read the crowd. And I don't know how many times you take in a certain playlist into an event, whatever it might be, thinking you're going to end up playing this music, but then, oh, we got to revert back to, something different. So I try not to be too rigid as far as the setup and the playlist, because I like the flexibility of being able to kind of know where I need to go as far as that goes.
I can totally relate to this because I can't tell you, coming from Montana, everybody would say, I want country, all this. And then, yeah, a lot of people are into it, but not for 3 hours.
Exactly.
Are there any, being in the Chicago area, are there any go-to songs that you find that are commonly popular in your area?
Still a lot of depending on the crowd, but it's still Chicago house and Chicago or freestyle still is pretty popular, even with the 20-year-old range. And that's just something that had an amazing footprint back in the 90s and is still going strong today as far as out here is concerned anyway.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Is there any artists that you would recommend if I'm starting DJing today? Are there any artists you would throw out there?
For house, I would
Yes.
certainly say Reality. One of my favorite Chicago house songs is Yolanda. I actually sing that to my wife because, long story short, that's her nickname. But Fast Eddie, Mr. Lead, Dajé, Cashmere, just to name a few.
Cool. Thanks for being on the spot there.
Oh, no problem.
What would you say to a DJ with 100 weddings per year? What would you say about the books that would maybe intrigue them just to check them out?
Well, having 100 different weddings, you're going to have such a wide range of music that you're going to be tapping into. And I think that the books as being a go-to would certainly make the planning process a lot easier.
What would you like to see in future editions that might help a little bit more in the books? Any additional features that you would recommend?
You have a lot of the bases covered. I mean, you did a really good job with, as I mentioned, the wide variety of music and the timelines and stuff like that. But one of the things I'm Polish myself. One of the things I'd like to maybe work with you on is maybe some Polish music.
I am 100% this is going to happen because and I know maybe there's only a few polka songs that you'll play during an event or a wedding. It's not going to be 2 hours worth. So I think to have maybe 10 go-to polka songs, it's funny. One of our favorite restaurants here in Vegas is the Hofbrauhaus, and they always do the polka music. They have the big horn, and it's fantastic. It's still being played, even though Billboard decided to get rid of the polka charts. But I think besides Beer Barrel Polka, probably one of the most famous, there's definitely others that you can play and that you should know.
Well, for sure.
And that's going to be one of my goals too, is to have more of the cultural playlist. So is there something that we missed today that you wanted to share about?
Yeah, one of the things how I got into the DJ business. I went to a high school in Hillside, Illinois called Proviso West. And one of the people that I was following, because they went to my high school, was none other than Bad Boy Bill. So I didn't know him personally, but he had played at some of our school events, and one of my friends was friends with him and kind of caught my eye, and kind of been following him for quite some time, and tried to learn some things, and got a chance to meet him at the DJ convention when he was out. So it was kind of neat.
And one other thing I wanted to share too, I think it's really cool that you and Crystal, your wife, work together and do the events together. Sharon and I tried to do that for a while. And I think it's wonderful that you're able to do that.
Oh, she is a master at the photo booth now, let me tell you. I've been trying to teach her how to DJ a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get to that point.
I think that's something that people don't realize is mix the music. You don't have to be on the microphone. You can always have an MC that's there as well. So just so that way you could go to the bathroom or whatever that looks like. I think it's great to have that second person there.
Oh, absolutely.
So Dave, where can people connect with you and find you?
On Facebook at Entertainment Media EMDJs.
Well, thanks, Dave, for being on the show today. Everybody stay tuned for in 2 weeks with another episode of the Wedding Songs Podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Songs Podcast. Never miss a future episode. Subscribe today to our podcast. Follow us on Facebook at My Wedding Songs and send us a message about playlists you would like covered.